For the prior knowledge check, for number 1, what number or numbers would go there?
2 and -2.
Yeah, 2 and -2.
Oh.
Guys, can we get in our assigned seats for notes, please? And then you guys can go back to work on stuff. Thank you. All right, what about number 2?
Sorry, Miss. Actually, I really had to.
It's fine. Number 2. Yep, 4 and -4.
I actually did. I'm sorry.
Okay, what about, guys, what about number 3? 8 and -8, yep. Number 4? None, yep, no solution.
We have to write both 8 and -8.
Because -8 times -8 is also positive 64. So here is this is what you're looking for. There's a symbol that we use for situations like this that we are going to see a lot this unit. So if, instead of writing 2 and -2, there's a symbol like plus or minus. It looks like this.
Okay.
So get used to that symbol. That means positive and -2.
If we wrote that instead of.
You should write it this way.
Okay.
Yeah, so like one of the goals is to get used to writing things this way.
That's a lot easier.
Okay, so last packet ever. Yeah.
What do we do after this?
Unit 11 you want, not Unit 4.
What do we do after this? Just review.
Final 2. All right. So the first chunk, the first half of this is spent basically learning all different kinds of ways to solve quadratic equations. So all of your equations that have an x squared in them. Okay? 11.1. Okay, so your objective is students will be able to solve quadratic equations by graphing and using square roots. So the graphing stuff is going to be the majority, the end of the unit. We're going to do stuff with the graphing, like learn how to actually graph the parabolas ourselves. Today is more just like if it's already graphed, can you tell me what the solutions are by looking at the graph, okay? So the way that you do that is by finding the X-intercepts. Those are your solutions. So those are going to be what X equals to make your equation work. So your solutions are going to be your X-intercepts. So on a graph, you're going to look for where the graph crosses the x-axis, and that's going to be how you know what your solutions are. So 3 different situations. If it crosses twice, which is like the majority of the time, then you're going to have 2 answers, 2 real roots, 2 solutions, 2 zeros, they're also called, wherever the x values are that they cross. If the vertex is on the x-axis, then you're going to have 1 answer, wherever it's going to hit on the x-axis. And if you have a situation like this where it's sitting above the x-axis where it won't cross, or if it's sitting below and upside down, that's when you're going to have, it's technically no solution, but like no real solutions because there are imaginary solutions. But you're not going to learn how to find those until Algebra 3-4, right? So you pretty much just say like no real roots. You could say complex roots, all kinds of different ways to say that, right? So the ones that are already graphed, like down below. So for the first one, that equation is the one that's graphed here. So how many solutions are you going to have? 2, right here and right here. What are the 2 values that those are at for x? Yeah, positive and negative 1. So you can do -1, 1. You can do plus or minus 1. I'm not sure how Math Excel wants the input for the answers, so just have some options. Okay, how many answers are we going to get for this one? Huh? Just 1 right here where it's crossing the x, and that's x equals what? 0? Yep. And then for this one, how many solutions are we going to have? None, so you're going to say no real roots. or you can say complex roots, you can say imaginary solutions, however you want to say it.
No real.
Wait, so when
If they said no real solution to that.
That's fine. Yeah, no real. The keyword is real.
so x equals 0 when it only crosses once.
No, it's because it's actually at x equals 0.
Oh.
Like if the vertex were like over here or something, it would be x equals 3. Yeah. So it's whatever the x value is where it's touching. Okay, go ahead and try the next ones.
Wait, how come that's real roots? Oh, no.
Yeah, because it doesn't cross at all or touch. All right, for these ones, how many roots is the first one going to have? 2. And what are the two x values where it's crossing?
0
Yep, 0 and
and negative.
-4.
Does it matter which order?
Nope. No, it shouldn't. And then what about the second one? Yep, no real roots. It's not to the x-axis.
Oh,
So the graphing method, we don't really, like I said, we're not going to actually learn how to graph these until the end of the unit. Once you do know how, then, like, we ask you to find the solutions after it's graphed. But the solutions, these are, like, actually, like, the most applicable to, like, actual real-world stuff and, like, physics and stuff. Because, like, a lot of problems are going to be, like, if you kick a soccer ball or you toss something up in the air or whatever, and it makes this arc and it lands back on the ground. This is what we use to figure out like how long it's going to take for it to land back on the ground. We are going to learn something to figure out what like this maximum height is going to be. So this is actually like pretty applicable to like real stuff, unlike some of the stuff we've done. Yeah, okay. So for right now, just looking at the graph and just saying what the answers are. So the main method that we're going to learn today to solve is solving with square roots. So this one you're only going to use when your problem is in this form. ax squared plus z equals 0. So what's missing is that bx in the middle. So normally you have ax squared plus bx plus z equals 0. And then what happens is when you try to solve something like this, people will like subtract that number over and then they're stuck with this, like something with an x squared and something with an x. And then they're like, okay, well, which x do I get by itself? Like, how do I even get x by itself? You can't using this method, okay? So in this one, this part is missing. And that's how you know to use this, this method. Because you only have the single x squared to isolate and you can get x by itself that way, okay? Just using like normal, like what you're used to solving equation stuff. So that's how to solve it. So like main points when you're doing this that you have to keep in mind, when you take the square, so first of all, you know how when we're solving equations, we always do like the inverse? Like if it's addition, we always like minus to both sides. And if it's multiply, we divide on both sides, yeah? We do like the opposite. What is the opposite of something being squared? A square root, yep. So in order to get rid of this squared, we're gonna take the square root, okay? So when you take the square root, you have to kind of do it like we did in the warm-up, where you have to account for the positive and negative versions of the answers, because both work, okay? So you need to get both the positive and negative solutions. And then also, you can't take the square root of a negative number. Don't forget that. So if that's the case, that's gonna be your no real roots answer, okay? So let's go through and do these. I'm gonna write really small, so I'm gonna like zoom in more.
Can you make the screen brighter somehow?
No, not really. It kind of does whatever it wants. Then like it's pitch black. I can't see. Yeah. Okay. So for this, what do we think we're gonna do first? Yeah. Add 36 to both sides. So you get m squared equals 36. Okay, and then to get the squared gone, what would you do? Square root, yep. Square root both sides. So you get m equals, I have to account for all different options for this. So what are my 6 and negative 6, yep. So you're going to say plus or minus 6. Because positive 6 and negative 6 would work if you plug it in there, just like in the warm-up we did. Because 6 times 6 is 36, and negative 6 times negative 6 is also 36. They both work. Okay?
Can we write
Huh?
one?
Okay. What would I do first on this one? Yeah.
Try that plus 6 and minus 6.
If you want to, but you're gonna have to like get comfortable using this for what we're doing.
So just write.
Yeah, I would just start writing like that. Yeah, just to get comfortable with what it means. Okay. This one. What would I do first?
Minus 15.
Yeah, minus 15. So you get 3x squared equals negative 15. Okay, then what?
Square root.
Not yet.
You divide by 3, right?
Yep, divide by 3. So x squared equals negative 5.
Now you square root.
Yep, now I have square root both sides. Okay. Can I take the square root of a negative? No, so there's going to be no real roots. Or no real solutions. If that was a positive 5, what I see a lot of people think is like because you can't actually take the square root of 5, that it's still going to be no solution. That's not the case. Okay? If it was a positive 5 that you're trying to take the square root of, you would like, let me make a little note. If it was x squared equals 5, for example, and you square root both sides, since you can't actually take the square root, like 5 doesn't have a square root, you would just keep it as x equals plus or minus the square root of 5, like that. Does that make sense? Like just like how we leave fractions as fractions, you're just gonna leave it with the square root over it. Okay?
So,
I just add the plus or minus to say the positive and negative, whatever that decimal is.
so if we leave it like that, is it like, do we leave it like that instead of saying there's no real solution?
No, so this is if the 5 was positive.
If the 5 was positive,
Yeah.
we leave it like that?
Yeah.
How come, why don't we just leave the last one as 36?
Well,
You
we
take the square root of
yeah, because you can take the square root of 36. So we're not leaving it as just 36. We would leave it as the square root of 36. Like we have to have the square root over it because you're taking the square root. But because 5 you can't take the square root of. So instead of giving like the decimal, then
Okay.
you just keep it as like more of an exact answer.
Yeah.
Now your Math Excel might want the decimal. So make sure you pay attention to like the little blue writing where it says how it wants the answer to be. If it says give decimals rounded to the nearest tenth or whatever, then just take the square root of that and just write it that way. Okay? It just depends on how it wants it. All right, and then C. What am I going to do first?
Minus 16.
Yeah, minus 16. 4d squared equals 0. Then what? Yeah, divide by 4. What's 0 divided by 4?
0.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then what?
So
Square root, yep. What's the square root of 0?
0.
0, can I do plus or minus 0? Can 0 be positive and negative?
No.
Nope, 0 is just 0. So this is going to be the one situation where you have only one solution. So what that would look like if I were to graph it is it would be like one of these where it's just sitting on the x-axis.
I
Okay.
put 0.
Yep, so just equals 0.
You just leave it like that. So you leave it
Yep. Okay, then go ahead and try the next one. Are we done? Okay. All right, what am I going to do first? Yep, add 75, guys, focus. So 3x squared equals 75. Then what? Divide by 3. X squared equals 25. Then what? Square root. Does 25 have a square root?
Yes.
Yes, what is it?
Positive or negative 5.
Yep, positive or negative 5. So this has two solutions, both positive 5 and negative 5. I need that to be clear in your heads. Okay, guys, can we please just focus and finish this out? Thank you. Write this down. Yeah. All right. Any questions so far? Okay, now we're going to solve in a different form. So this is called vertex form of a quadratic, which we are not really going to be working with. It's more of an algebra 3-4 thing. We are going to just solve this for x, but we're not going to learn how to all the graph stuff with it. Okay. So this one's a little bit different because it's not just the x that's being squared. You have a set of parentheses that's being squared. So what the difference is that you're going to take the square root at a different point in the process so that you can access what's inside. Okay? So let's just do it. All right, what do we think we're going to do first? Nope, can't distribute because of the squared. Yep, plus 24. Okay, then what do you think we're going to do?
Divide by 3.
Yep, divide by 3. Guys. Oh. So x minus 4 squared equals 8. Okay, at this point, I can't touch that negative 4 right now because it's locked in those parentheses with the squared. So this is the point where you're going to have to take the square root, okay, to get rid of that squared. So square root both sides. Now, does 8 have a square root? No, however, can you simplify that square root?
Ow. Oh, isn't it like 4?
So remember, square root of 8, what perfect square number goes into 8? 4 times.
2.
So this is 2 radical 2. Yeah, remember? Or the birthday cake thing if you know that way. So you have to do plus or minus in front of it, and then 2 radical 2. Okay, is the x by itself?
No.
It is not, so what do I have to do? Now, the way that this is written, with the plus or minus and all of that, adding the plus 4 to the end is just a lot of signs. So we don't really do that. We put it at the beginning. So we do x equals 4 plus or minus 2 radical 2. So add the positive 4 to the beginning. And we typically will leave our answers like that because that's exact. We don't like to round and stuff with stuff like this. However, Math Excel, as you guys know, is its own beast, right? Okay, about to lose it. So put the phone away. Thank you. If Math Excel wants your answers as a decimal, the way that you're going to get your solutions in your calculator, let me zoom out, you're going to treat this like the plus and the minus. So you're going to do 4 plus 2 radical 2, like that. And so one of your answers is going to be 6.8. Then do 4 minus 2 radical 2. So your other answer is going to be 1.2. Okay? So just do the addition and the subtraction to get the two solutions out of that. Got it? Yes? Huh? If it wants decimals. If it just has to do an exact answer with radicals, then just type that. All right, next one. All right, what am I going to do first? Yep. Okay, then what? Yep, square root both sides. So x plus 3 equals, does 1 have a square root?
No.
1.
Yeah, square root of 1 is 1. But what do I have to put in front of it?
Negative or positive?
Yeah, so plus or minus 1. Okay, from here, there's two ways. I'm going to show you both ways to think about the solution to this. And then you do whichever way makes the most sense to you. But how am I going to keep solving for x?
-3.
Yeah, minus 3. So x equals negative 3 plus or minus 1. And then since I don't have radicals or anything, I can actually figure that out. So what is negative 3 plus 1? Negative 2. What's negative 3 minus 1? Negative 4. So from here, you have a couple options. You can you're going to do negative 3 plus 1 and then negative 3 minus 1 to get the two answers. Okay? Or if you'd prefer, for all the way up here, when you take the square root and you get x plus 3 equals plus or minus 1, instead, you can do x plus 3 equals 1 and x plus 3 equals negative 1 and solve both of those equations separately. Either way, it's all going to work out. Yeah.
How did you get -2 and -3?
Yeah.
Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. Like since x plus 3 equals plus or minus 1, if you set up the equations to positive and negative 1 and minus 3 on both sides, you're going to get negative 2 and negative 4. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, try the next one.
Every time I come to your room, it's all bacon.
That's weird.
Okay,
No needed.
it's almost perfect. The problem is, this bus parking, there's no parking there. So if you go by this, that means there'd be bus parking there. There's not. But this says along
Okay,
the loop,
sure.
you just take that out,
Okay, just delete it.
And I get
I think we're good. Don't you?
Easy peasy.
Just delete that, I think it's all good. Because you explained it there along the loop
Yeah.
on the right side. Well, you would, but you know, they'd come there and go, oh, I'm gonna drive over the curb and park up there.
two versus. But they know better. They just don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Thank
Are we
you.
done, guys? We done? Ready? Yes. Okay.
Are you going to the thing tonight? Teachers do.
Oh, like the happy hour thing? No. Will not be attending now. I will be napping.
You don't seem like the person to like participate in extra curriculum.
Not with these people, no. All right. All right. What do you do first on this one?
U plus 3 or minus 3.
Yep, minus 3.
Actually, it kind of gets plus 1. Shocked. I know I'm too.
Okay, 32, and then what?
You divide by 2.
So x plus 1 squared equals 16.
Then you square it.
Square root. Square root of 16 is what?
4.
And? Yep, 4 negative 4. Then what? Minus 3. X equals negative 1 plus or minus 4. So what's negative 1 plus 4?
Negative 3.
No.
3.
3. What's negative 1 minus 4?
Wait, why is it negative? Wait, say that again.
Because you have to subtract 1 to the other side
Oh, that's what I
to get x by itself.
meant. I just didn't want that.
So you have to subtract this 1.
So, okay.
Wait, so it's negative 1 plus 4 and
Negative 1 minus 4. Yeah. Guys.
How do you know, like, which one to do it to? Because, like, I did it to 4. I did negative 4 plus 1 and then negative 4 minus.
So it's always whatever you take the square root of, it gets a plus or minus. And then whatever you move over just goes in front.
Oh, okay.
Okay, can we stop? All right, next one.
Wouldn't that be, why is it negative 5?
Because negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5.
Negative 1 minus. Okay.
All right, this one, what would I do first?
Subtract 8.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, x plus 7 squared equals negative 8. Okay, then what?
You square.
Square root. Can I take the square root of a negative number? No, so that's my answer.
No.
No.
Oh my gosh. I got
Mm-hmm.
Can I go to that?
Yeah.
No.
Yep, so anytime you have to take the square root of a negative number, it ain't gonna work. Okay? All right, and then there's your lesson check. Get that done, please. Guys, lesson check. Come on.
They did it. Right. I didn't want
What? 6 and 2.
I didn't get the first one. I got the positive.
No, for the last one.
Oh, I got 6.
I got 6 and 2. You're actually both things. But then, did you get 6 and 2?
Yeah. You are?
No. You like them?
I don't get the first one.
Me neither.
Both the scores.
Can I retake the quiz like so
Yes. The good day for that would be Monday.
Monday? Like, I haven't never had.
Yeah, I just, because Monday's a work day, so that we can study and stuff. But yeah, yours is in your folder if you want.
Like, and I have the discussion, just like a few questions.
Okay.
I'll show you it.
Awesome.
oh yeah, we thought
When you punch my voice like went out. I go wait, no punch it here. And I was
It's
like,
two.
wait, it's two. No, wait. Basically, I'm like, no.
I did it right after. I'm like, you know when you're like,
Are you guys done?
Yes.
they literally did it right. They always do that. They always do it right after.
You guys are done? Yes?
They're water beers.
Yeah, I did. It was really good.
I'm glad.
All right. Answers are. All right, number one, your answer is x equals plus or minus 2. And number two, x equals 6 and 2.
What?
Yes.
Yay.
Do you have questions?
What if you negative 6 and
I don't get
No.
this. I thought the first one had
Mm-mm.
I have
Can you do the second one?
Yeah. So for the second one, you'd add 8 first. So you'd get, well, you'd add 8 and then divide by 2, so you'd get 4, right? So I'll start from there. X minus 4 squared equals 4. Did everyone get to this point?
Yeah.
At least? Okay. So then square root both sides. What's the square root of 4?
2.
But plus or minus 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're going to add the 4 over, so it's going to be 4 plus or minus 2. So when that moves over, it has to change signs because you're adding it to the other side. And it's just going in front. Okay? So then what's 4 plus 2?
8, 6.
6, and then 4 minus 2? 2. Yeah. So just make sure that that's probably where people are getting tripped up is that you have to add it to the other side so it becomes positive. Make sense? Yes? Done? Yeah? You pay attention? Yeah? Okay. All right.
Can we leave that there for a second?
Uh-huh.